Hi, I'm Louis Borrego,
And I'm Brandon Borrego.
and we are the Borrego Brothers. Awesome. Welcome to our podcast. This is number 4, right? So, Brandon, let's go over it. Let's dive in. What do we got, man?
Well, the first thing I had down was probably what is going to be the biggest movie of the year, which is Dune 2.
Yeah.
Because I know we both have seen it, and so what were your thoughts on it?
I loved it. I thought it was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
You had a big problem with old Timmy last time.
Yep.
Or little Tim. But but obviously he fully redeemed himself, right? I mean, what are your thoughts?
Not really.
Okay. All right.
I mean, yeah, I was very critical of him the first movie. You know, just for one, the believability. Like I feel like I can't fully immerse myself because I can't believe what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm.
He just doesn't seem at all like that guy for me. And while this movie was so great, you could overlook that more with Dune 2. It was still extremely difficult. And there's two big things that stood out to me. Number one, the chemistry between him and Zendaya was nothing. There was no chemistry between them. And that made no sense to me. I did not get that at all. But also the fighting, because he was, at this point in the story, a pretty badass warrior.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just ridiculous. I found it ridiculous, like specifically the scene where he comes in like a badass after killing the whole army to slay the uncle or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And spoiler alert, by the way, but he goes in to kill him, and he kill his army no problem. It's that seems so far fetched. It's just I can't at all believe that this guy is doing that. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I can see where you're coming from. I guess I was able to suspend belief more than you were. I found him. I thought it was pretty cool. I do believe. One person who had extraordinary believability and authenticity was what is that actor's name? He was the main antagonist of the film.
Oh yes, yeah, I know.
Oh my gosh, it's driving me crazy. Austin Butler, yes. Yeah. Oh my god, I can't believe I freaking forgot him. I loved his performance. It was freaking incredible.
Yeah, he was amazing. He was so good, and I wasn't expecting that necessarily. I mean, not that I didn't think he'd do a great job, but I didn't know he'd be so prominent in the movie. I didn't know he had such a big part in the second film. And so
have you read Dune?
I haven't read it all the way through. I read halfway through.
Okay.
But
how was the book?
It's great. It's just a little tough to get going with it, I guess.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't it didn't do it for me right away, I was kind of struggling through it. Wasn't my favorite style, I guess.
Supposedly Tolkien hated the author of Dune, which is interesting because I think that I was reading somewhere or watching on YouTube that there's not a clear line of good and evil in Dune.
Yeah.
Which makes it very fascinating. Yeah. Because there's no, sometimes good people will do really bad shit. Sometimes bad people will do really good shit. And it's it's extremely ambiguous. Whereas Tolkien, there is a clear good and evil. There is obviously there is definitely good and evil in Tolkien stories.
Yeah.
With all the books, with the Fellowship and everything. Hobbits, good. Orcs, bad, right? And There is definitely a clear delineation, but not in Dune. It's not as clear.
And Tolkien was critical of that.
Yeah, he supposedly he hated that.
Oh,
He thought
really?
he thought it was misguided or something. I forgot what it was called, but I forgot what he said exactly. But they had some beef.
I can kind of appreciate that, from Tolkien, because it's a story that's true to a lot of lives with Dune. That we all have that sort of internal struggle, but I guess it's like preaching about the way things are as opposed to the way they ought to be. I feel like maybe with Tolkien, he thought this is the way things ought to be. So I'm gonna display that in my working and give that as an example. Whereas Dune, perhaps someone could become misguided by maybe like empathizing with characters they shouldn't or something, or getting fascinated with dark side of things, or where it's not terribly healthy for some people.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought he was getting at in terms of his disagreement with Tolkien. But I'm not too sure. I need to look into it deeper. I do like the morality of Dune. I think it's very interesting, and I do like its ambiguity because I feel like that is much closer to people. You know what I mean? It's a lot closer to real, authentic people.
Yeah. It's really tough, man. It's really, I mean, I think it is, but then it's like, what is there to gain from that in story? It's difficult to say because, like, I think of like a couple things come to my mind with that sort of storytelling is like Joker for one, because it's very real, and the whole time you're empathizing with the villain, and you're glorifying the villain, and and in this story, it's so complicated because in that story, he is the hero,
Right.
and so it blurs those lines really deeply, and then also with something like Dahmer, where you empathize with such a villain, and it's like that, like for Dahmer, for example, I could not finish that. That, like, I couldn't finish the series. Not only was it the nightmares, because I was getting nightmares every night watching that
Really?
shit. Yeah, definitely.
What kind of nightmares?
With Dahmer, with Dahmer and with Mindhunter, I had dreams of people like standing over me, like while I was sleeping, and like I also have.
That's creepy.
Yeah, I also have like waking dreams. What, I forgot what it's called.
Lucid dreaming.
Sleep paralysis.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'll get sleep paralysis, and it's where you're like in between sleep and awake, and you can't wake up, and it'll feel like someone's standing over me, like.
Gosh, that's so weird, man.
Yeah, and so like with Mindhunter that happened too, because it's so intense about serial killers and stuff. With Dahmer,
how long did that happen? When you're dreaming, how long does that happen? How long do you feel? Do you feel awake, and can you like look around?
It feels that way. It's a bit bizarre because you're in between. Like sometimes you're in and out of dreams. So it's like sometimes you're dreaming that somebody's watching over. Sometimes you're awake and you have just the really impending feeling that somebody's there.
Ew.
And so the visuals get blurred with the feeling of it,
Ugh.
And so, yeah, like it's terrible. And yeah, but that was bad. That was enough to make me stop. But then also it's so hard on the soul. I mean, seeing all that stuff is way too rough, man. And it asked the question, like, one, is it worth it? Is it worth people watching to go through such pain and anxiety and difficulty? Or, is it worth that to get what? I mean, what are we learning? Why are we empathizing with psychopaths?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I wonder, we went to He Who Wrestles with God tour, Jordan Peterson. Shout out to JP. He is incredible, astounding. It was mind-bending, honestly. It was mind-bending. I remember, I looked over at you, I was like, oh my God, we are going in. Because it's actually surprising to hear Jordan talk that dense sometimes. It's weird. You don't realize how dense he can actually speak. Because most of the time, he's always trying to speak for accessibility.
Right.
But it's like he turned it all the way to 11 in the first 30 minutes.
Yeah, and here's what my thought was on that, right? Is like, he has so much material.
Yeah.
Like, he's on such a deep level now with like his new thoughts and everything. He's done so much, right? He's really pushing the limits at this point. And I felt like that first 30 minutes was new material he was working out.
Yeah.
Because there were some like ends that didn't tie back in, and he like went off in areas that just went off.
Right.
And then a new area developed. And it was just it was a lot and very difficult to keep up with. And then he went into like his, older material to like reinforce points he was trying to, weed out with new ideas. And that was much more digestible. But I felt like that's what he was doing. He was trying to work in the new material and work some of that out.
Sure. Yeah, I could definitely see that. I could feel that. But
it was tough.
It was very difficult.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, I have to like 100% concentrate just to be even like to make this understandable. And then there was like a lady next to us that kept, I don't know what she was doing. I don't know what she was on, man.
Yeah. They seemed like they were fucked up.
That was terrible. I was like, man, you really ruined it for everyone. I was so close to saying something. So close, but they I guess they left at a certain point.
Yeah. Yeah. After constantly talking with each other and interrupting.
That was bizarre. So freaking. Anyways, he was talking about psychopaths, and only 4% of the population are psychopaths. And that a lot of the current mainstream thought in terms of, I guess, in universities is that so much of the patriarchy and will of humans are designed around power. And he made a fantastic argument to say, no, it's fucking not. And I'll show you. And how psychopaths are only 4%. They only are about power. That's all they care about. And they're a great example of, or else psychopaths would be extremely successful. They're only 4% of the population, so they're very, very rare. And overall, they're not successful at all. They're too far to one side, and most of them are criminals already. So I'm sure there's high-functioning psychopaths, right?
Yeah.
There's definitely high-functioning psychopaths, and perhaps they're at the very apex of our political leaders or whatever, which I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
But also, it's pretty rare. So overall, though, no, like that is not how people think. And I loved how Jordan displayed that out for people, right? That no, it's not based around power. It's a lot more nuanced than that in terms of the human society, the human psyche as well.
Yeah. And that's where like, that like question comes in is like, are we spending too much time romanticizing those psychopaths, in story and in, whatever fiction, as opposed, because like, as opposed to the Lord of the Rings, like the Dark Crystal, like Dark Crystal has a similar setup, where you have like, I don't know the names in Dark Crystal of what they are, but you have like the Hobbit little beings, then you have like the human beings, and then you have like the sketchy, like evil orc, what have you,
Right.
and it's, and you like, you kind of, you glorify the humans, yes, like they're sort of the heroes in the story,
Yeah.
but then you really empathize with like the lower little creatures,
Yeah.
the hobbits, these, like the purest of heart, which, I don't know, like, is there another series film, modern film that does that?
In terms of what?
Like like has that kind of structure and like glorifies the Hobbit.
Other than Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
I mean, the only things I can think of was Oompa Loompa, and which doesn't really glorify it.
No, I don't think
Kind of
so.
makes a mockery of it.
Yeah.
And perhaps The Wizard of Oz. Perhaps. Because they were the Munchkin town.
Yeah.
And
That's another example for sure.
yeah, I mean,
I think.
there was that. It's funny. I watched Cursed Films.
Yeah,
Did you
I
see
was
some of that?
watching that.
You see that? Yeah.
I was watching a little bit of that. Yeah.
I thought that was so interesting,
It was
about
interesting.
how, we all know about, or so many people know about the that was frustrating. They didn't answer that question. They were
Which
like
one?
the Hobbit hanging from the I'm not the Hobbit, I'm sorry.
Oompa Loompa.
No, it's not the Oompa Loompa. No.
Yeah.
The Munchkin,
The Munchkin.
or the little people is what they
Right.
called it in the film. And what was pretty funny too is that they talked about how, and I'm spreading this, that probably is like, it's not true at all. And poor people, they were like, there was a rumor that spread, and you know who spread it? The actress who played Dorothy, I forgot her
Judy
name.
Garland.
Judy Garland, yes. She spread this rumor that the Munchkins, the little people who played the Munchkins, they all were in this one hotel, and they basically had crazy sex orgies, parties, and drugs in that one hotel. And she spread that rumor.
Yes, and it was a rumor.
It was 100% a rumor.
A fabrication. And it was so silly too, because she was making an offhand joke
Right.
on a show, on a live TV show.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like that big of a deal,
Yeah.
She's just trying to be funny.
Yeah, but they, oh man, those poor people really took the brunt of that, which is so sad.
Yeah, but okay, is that really Judy Garland's fault, or is that the media's fault?
Well, it's,
I guess you're just making a joke. It didn't even like, it just got sensationalized.
well, yeah,
What are
I
you
definitely say
gonna
it's more
do?
the media's fault for sure.
Yeah, because
It's a little her fault too, because she started it,
it wasn't that
and
bad.
she was
It
also
just a
pretty
joke.
high on that show herself.
High?
Yeah.
I thought she was just drunk.
No, well, she was. I believe that she was. Oh my gosh, I'm spreading more rumors, but I'm pretty sure about this, that she was.
Like on pills or something?
She was on pills. I forgot what the
Oh,
name of the
okay.
pills were. It was certain type of inebriation, but
Mm.
yeah, I mean, it's just certain types of pills. I think it was the Jordan Belfort pills. I forgot the name of those, but
Preludes?
Quaaludes? Yeah, I think so. I don't know for sure.
It was, I mean, prescribed. back
Yes,
then.
it's a type of prescription, dude. Like,
Yeah, it was it was prescribed back then. I mean,
I don't
Elvis
want to be
took Quaaludes.
Yes, I don't want to be spreading rumors. So Judy Garland, pills. What kind of barbiturates? That's right. That's man. That's why I was like, that's
Okay.
what I had on my. So by the time 17 years old, Garland finished filming Oz. She was already addicted to barbiturates and amphetamines.
She was 17?
17.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
And I remember in that film, they did that for her because they wanted her to stay skinny. And because she was already growing so much, because she was going through puberty during the filming process.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
She was, so
She
she
was
was,
like late? She was like a late bloomer type of thing?
yeah, I think so. Like she
Oh,
was,
wow.
she was changing so much
Wow, that's crazy.
that they were like, she was gaining weight and they were like, you need to like not gain weight, stay skinny. And we need you to be peppy, all the time so that you can keep that youthful look and that vibe. So they gave her barbiturates and amphetamines to keep her skinny and to keep the energy really high.
Well, that can't be good.
Definitely wasn't. Definitely was a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, those were the practices back then, unfortunately.
Yes. And the fact that, well, the other thing that's so sad is you watch that film again. My God. A work of art.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And on top of that, she was an absolutely gorgeous, beautiful woman. Beautiful young lady at the time,
Yeah.
And it's just so sad to see that happen to her. You look at her, because I think right after that too, she was on film after film after film after film, and I've been meaning to watch the Judy Garland films. Because she's so extraordinary in The Wizard of Oz, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I think a lot of those actors at the time were so extraordinary. Like,
oh yes,
I mean, so much more than you would think, or just, it's like, I mean, sometimes it's a little hard to relate, it being so back,
right,
back in time. But a lot of them were just, it seemed like they were just so well trained and passionate and creative. I mean, I don't know, that maybe it's just romanticizing that era, but like I feel like that's how I feel about them.
Yeah, me too. Me too. There's a certain feeling you get whenever you start watching that film. My gosh, there's this nostalgic, a little bit of a slight hint of, I don't want to say terror, but it's strange how that film can instill fear in you, even when you know what's going to happen. And in the beginning, it's a strange mix of combination of emotion, right? I mean, I've been meaning to watch it again. I mean, we've watched it so many times as children.
Yeah, for sure.
So I know how it feels. But it's interesting to watch movies again that you've watched. So it's like, we tell people every time that we love Braveheart, right? And we will always love Braveheart. And, rewatching that film as we're older, right? How did you feel about the last time you watched that film? What did you take away from it for the 28th time that we've seen it?
Yeah. The last time that we watched it?
Yeah.
I'm trying to recall exactly, because I feel like the last time we watched it, I really took away a lot of the filmmaking prowess that Braveheart exhibited. That, like that's what I took a lot from that. I think because I'd watched Passion of the Christ pretty recently, and I felt that way during Passion of the Christ. I was like, wow, this is like, I forgot how well made it is. And so with Braveheart, I was looking out for that because I knew how great of a director Mel Gibson was. And yeah, it's the filmmaking technique, the storytelling technique is so, I mean, man, it's so good.
Mm.
It's like, that's what people should dedicate their lives towards. It's so powerful, and it's everything. It's the DP, it's the lighting, it's the location, it's the makeup, it's the like the set dressing. I mean,
It's
it is
unbelievable.
it is everything. Acting, of course, and the music, because
Yes.
that's what I took from it as well. The score
Oh my gosh, dude.
is
The flute.
so powerful, dude.
The flute.
Well, and the bagpipes, yeah.
Of course. Oh yeah, I can hear it now.
Yeah, then the orchestrals swells.
Oh, it's beautiful, man.
Yeah, it's amazing.
What is it? The Sound of a Thistle. I think is the name of my favorite track. The Sound of a Thistle, and it's that. Oh my gosh, those child actors are outrageous. But when she hands him that, it's a beautiful, beautiful display of the masculinity, femininity, in early forms. But it's so gorgeous that just in that one scene, and there's no dialogue. It's just two child actors, but she hands him a thistle, basically a flower,
Mm-hmm.
and he cries for her in that moment because of his father died.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So she helps him heal, and I love that message because I believe that message. I believe women have special healing powers. That's without a doubt. But what do you think about that scene symbolically?
I mean, I think it's it's a powerful part of the story that the idea of like a lifelong true love, that's definitely lost on modern society.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just it's just not how we're built anymore.
Oh, don't say that. I don't
No,
believe
in
that.
terms of society.
Oh, well,
It's not
yes.
how society is built.
Well,
Like perhaps in like some small towns or what have you, like that potentially could be an option, but it's like we don't typically grow up with like childhood friends up into adulthood, up like
right.
past like university and college and stuff. Like
Yeah.
that's so incredibly rare. And that's kind of what Braveheart is. It's like, people don't stay in their communities.
Yeah.
They leave their communities and go off into cities and what have you now. And so it's very romantic. It's not just in a loving way, but in a romanticizing that sort of life, that sort of love is so ancient and deep and special, and they displayed it very very beautifully in Braveheart. This warrior having become a man, and because we missed that part, if flash forward to when he was a man.
Yeah.
But you can imagine he went through all the trials and tribulation to become a man. And now, with this manhood, he just wants to provide for, a woman, fall in love with her, provide for her, and build a family with her, which is very romantic.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful.
But it's like also a tale of revenge and this is what happens when you take away a man's. What do you think that message is?
In regards to what happens to,
Yeah.
His wife. Well, that also isn't like, they don't dive too much into that, especially as far as exposition on his transition from having loved this woman to seeking out revenge. Because it's not a revenge story, you know? He gets revenge rather quickly, and it's anticlimactic. It's great, but it's like he just gets revenge and then we move on. It's more about like, you know, his purpose and his destiny and fulfilling his destiny. And, perhaps in life, like, cause if the idea is she wouldn't have died, the Scots wouldn't have been saved.
Yeah.
And so there's some sacrificial symbolism in
Right.
that. But he wouldn't have fulfilled his true destiny of fighting for his people, saving his people. And that's, of course, in Braveheart, ultimately what he goes on to do and is the much better story, regardless of not being satisfying to him, but becoming a martyr and dying for his people. I mean, that's the ultimate good,
Yeah.
That's the ultimate good of one completely sacrificing himself for the greater good of his people.
Mm.
That's what Braveheart is.
And that's why it's also a Christ. Symbolically, it's just a symbolism of Christ.
Yeah, of course.
Which is, of course, his next film, which was Passion of the Christ. Was that his next film?
I don't think so.
I don't think it was.
But it was after Braveheart.
It was after Braveheart, yeah.
Yeah, certainly. But yeah, the symbolism's certainly there. I mean, he's, like lying down.
Yeah. Getting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting though, because I do want to say, I know it's so sad that we're not built that way, but shout out to Gil, our basically one of a sales lead, right, an employee of ours, and watching him grow, and Thalia, shout out to Thalia, both of them have been. Shout out to Kate too. I love Kate. I don't want to miss anyone, Max. But I'm talking about Gil specifically because he's made extraordinary strides, and it's such a blessing to be able to pour into people, right? And he's got a beautiful relationship, right? Him and his girlfriend, Enid, they have been together forever, and literally since I believe they've been together since they're the first people they've ever dated and so forth, right?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Which is beautiful and extremely rare.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's rare, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just incredible, man. And it's a beautiful love story. It's like I was talking to him the other day. I'm like, well, we play different games now, man. It's like you're playing a different game than I am in terms of the game of love. It's unfortunate, because if somebody could be like, I'll trade you, not with guilt, but like if I could trade, like being able to just love one woman, and only have been with her, and she only had been with me, and we just be together, and it's just 1-to-1, that would be incredible.
Mm-hmm.
That would be magical. And of course, it'd be very difficult, like anything else. But and that's how it used to be, man. That's how it used to be back in the day, man.
Yeah. Yeah, for the most part. I mean, depends how far back we're going, but like to where people go with the first person that they sleep with is, probably 100 years ago and beyond. That's how it was, probably. For the most part.
For the most part.
Probably for the most part.
For the most part.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's such a beautiful romantic idea. And men really are the romantics, but anyways. What else do we have on the docket?
Well, big news from Blackmagic.
Oh,
and
yes.
also IMAX, which I saw that I just saw this morning. But
Okay.
Blackmagic is the big news of they have new cameras, and it's big news to us because that is what we have used for the past decade.
Yeah.
Is Blackmagic.
Yeah, we have.
We had the original cinema camera. We bought it when it was pretty much new, when it was just a RE ripoff sensor in a metal box. That's what it is. That's what we're shooting this thing on.
Yeah.
Your camera is the original cinema camera, which is hilarious.
I love that.
Yeah, still works. But they came out with
real quick. I was also, they were commenting on, there's a Reddit or something saying like, why does Blackmagic have such a bad name? And I was like, what the hell? And I clicked into it. It was like, most of the comments were saying, well, it's because when it first came out, they had terrible support, and a lot of the first generations would malfunction. But that's no longer the case. But is that true? Because we still have this is the first camera, right?
Not really, man. I mean, if people are saying that, it's hearsay and it's the vocal minority, honestly. Because
wow,
it really is. Like, that's not the case. Nobody really bad mouths Blackmagic. That, like, Red was real. Like, when Red first came out, there was a lot of people who hated that because it was like so new and like powerful that people did spend a lot of money for it. And they were like, oh my God, I can get like a super high level camera that I can use professionally. I can buy it like that. And then they did. And then it didn't work. And it was overheating and stuff. Like the first Red camera, that's how that was. But with Blackmagic, that's not really how it was. I mean, yeah, it's true. The first issues like weren't, terribly great and stuff, but they also weren't expensive. I mean, so you really can't complain that much. And people already kind of knew the deal. Like, this wasn't going to replace like everything, it wasn't really like that.
The hell, man.
Yeah, that's kind of nonsense. And yeah, it's like there is a vocal minority, and it's Blackmagic's own followers that heavily criticize it, but it's a vocal minority. I mean, there's 10 to 1 people who use it who are extremely happy with it and just don't say anything.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's what I freaking got upset about, was that they don't advocate for themselves, and they don't let people do it either. Because like I emailed, I already told you about this. I emailed Blackmagic's marketing, team or whatever. And I told them, I was like, I use our cameras are all Blackmagic. I had the 12K Ursa I've had it for a long time now, and I use it 3 or 4 times a week. And for high level ads, high level videos.
Yeah.
I use it all the time. Hey, Blackmagic marketing team, why don't you develop like a sponsor or program, or an advocates for Blackmagic, like Sony has their Sony has basically it's like a team of people who like advocate for Sony. They have like the Sony user affiliates, And I'm not asking for anything. I'm not saying like give me anything for free. I'm just saying let's promote each other. And I mean, that sounds like I want to get promoted, but like I'm saying like more for them. Like what I want is for Blackmagic to get the recognition it deserves and to be more widespread, because it's, such a great product. And they were just like, oh, we don't have anything like that. Like, sign up for our email list. I was like, what is wrong? What's wrong with y'all, man? Like develop that, and then get your stuff out there. Like you should be partnering more with YouTube people.
Yeah.
Because there's a ton of YouTube people out there.
Right.
You know, and I'll tell you what, Sony does it, and Sony grabs a bunch of people that way. And because I mean, it's like there's a lot of misinformation about Blackmagic out there, and it doesn't do me any favors, because then my client is like, "Oh, what are you using?" I'm like, "Blackmagic." They're like, "Oh, okay. Sounds like a camera, I guess."
Yeah.
You know, if I said Red, they'd be like, "Awesome," and that sucks because Blackmagic's better.
Yeah. Is it better than Red?
Yes, it is in a lot of ways. Well, here's the thing: it's better for us, right? That I can say with 100% confidence. For you, I mean, I can't tell you, right? Like you make your own decisions, but for us, we're buying our equipment and we have EF lenses, right? So of course, that's going to be a great decision for us. I mean, like as a business, it's way more affordable. I mean, for example, the camera they just released,
Red?
no, Blackmagic.
Is Red even making any moves?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're keeping up, or I mean, they're doing their thing. They're right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're I don't want to speak wrongly about this, but I think their latest thing was the Raptor. Yeah, that was
Rock Lobster.
That a lot of people opted for who were using Blackmagics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they got a Rad Raptor because the thought was that it'll give you more jobs. Like if you're a DP, a Red's going to get you more jobs than a Blackmagic. Same thing with Sony though. I mean, you're going to get more jobs.
But why?
That because people ask for them specifically. Like in RFPs, request for proposals, they say, Sony preferred.
But why?
Why do they prefer Sony's? Ecosystems. It's part of their ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
Businesses are like, my video editor uses Sony. He works with Sony all the time. He works in Premiere. He has LUTs for Sony, or he just prefers, that footage. Our corporate uses Sony cameras, that type of thing.
Damn.
Red is just a big name. I mean, so it gets recognized, like preferably Red because it just means quality. But
are they really more quality than Blackmagic?
No, well, no, they're not. And again, that is preference. It's preference to you as a editor, what kind of footage you want at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I prefer that. I prefer Blackmagic over anything else. And I've worked so much with it. That that's part of the reason I prefer it. But yeah, I mean, I think it's great. And like I was reading an article, I forget from who the other day about, the skin tones just being so tremendous on the Blackmagic. It's like the only one that rivals Ari in that regard, because Ari still probably ekes out, ahead of Blackmagic because of the color.
Because the color science?
Yeah, the color science behind it is so great. But Blackmagic's right there, and with the new cameras, it could be there or better. I mean, probably not better, but like I feel like with the Ursa Mini, man. I mean, dude, the Ursa Mini the 12K is phenomenal. I mean, it's so beautiful, man. You get that footage in, and even against our 6K. Richard's our B cam, like it looks so good.
Yeah,
it looks so good, man. I mean, you get like a Canon or Sony in there alongside that stuff, and you notice the difference big time. It's just such a beautiful codec, really, really, really well done. But yeah, I mean, and they've continued improving on that. And it's funny because like we got the box camera,
Yeah.
which is what everybody was asking for, but people still they're just like even more complaining.
Wow, really?
Yeah, but again, I think it's the vocal minority, but the people still trying to find issues with it. Like one thing that people are screaming about. There's several things that people are
Yeah.
screaming about, which is insane because it's $3,000
Right.
for the 6K, full frame sensor.
It's incredible.
Yeah. One thing that actually I can understand is the no NDs. So there's no built-in NDs.
Okay.
And for me, that's something I use all the time.
Does a regular Pocket have built-in NDs?
Well, ours doesn't. Ours isn't a Pro, but the Pro does, the 6K. Our 12K Mini, that one has built-in NDs, and I use it all the time. And it's like I love it. It's standard in a lot of cameras, and I use it like in between shots. Like I'll record. Like I was doing a shoot outside with Sterling Carts, the cart company, luxury golf carts, and I was shooting against the sun and with the sun,
Yeah.
and like into the sun and away from the sun. And so I would flip the ND and on and off, and like between 2 and 4. And that's really useful. Like without it, it kind of sucks. It actually deters me a little bit because of the no NDs, which is unfortunate. Hopefully they make a Pro with NDs.
They're going to.
Maybe. I mean, it'd be cool if they did. But yeah. So that's one thing. The other thing is the screen being like a non-swivel screen that it doesn't flip out. It doesn't swivel. It's like isolated on the side.
Okay.
So it's just static on the side. But I was reading some information about that. I forget from who, but apparently the reasoning was because, okay, this is a box camera. So with a box camera, ideally the attraction is that you can rig it out and you can put it on a gimbal.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so if you have a swivel screen, that doesn't jive with a gimbal. And so a screen mounted on the side is a much more ergonomic solution. That's the thought.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And then the battery option not being V-mount, it was going to drive the price up, and it was going to add bulk and weight. And so they had another alternative battery solution. Probably same thing with Mini XLR, because it's not full XLR, which is annoying, but simple adapter will fix it, so it's whatever. But those are the things that people hate about it. But look, what's so good about it is that you have a full frame sensor, with 13 stops dynamic range and interchangeable lens mounts.
Right. With
all of the, technology that's built into Blackmagic's cameras for, usability. And then you have it in a form factor where you can put it on a gimbal and what have you. So
why isn't the Blackmagic more accepted in like the Netflix community? As a accepted camera. Is Ursa now?
Yeah, it is now.
Oh wow, okay, but that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the one thing they nitpicked about that whole thing, and again, the Netflix list of cameras is more just like guidelines for producers. It's just like suggestions for producers, like this is what will make, a great film. As opposed to like, this is what we let into our catalog. But the reason they didn't have like a 12K on the list, the original one, is because it didn't have a low pass filter, an optical low pass filter, which will mitigate like moire. I can't even say it. Like it's like moire and what and I forgot what else.
But so does the 12K have that now?
It has it now, yeah. There's a version that costs the exact same that has it.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Yeah, it has that filter on the lens, or I'm sorry, on the sensor. And yeah, so and then I think all the new cameras are built with it as well. Pretty sure. But yeah, but again, I mean, well, here's the thing: the 6K is only one camera. They also came out with 12K. The new 12K full frame,
Mm-hmm.
which is a amazing option, and like a mini LF comparable, and a freaking 17K.
A 17K?
Yeah.
Did they just release that? Like, I don't remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, it's not priced yet, but it's out there.
Wow.
Yeah, which is an IMAX comparable. It's like comparable to a 65 millimeter.
What? That is freaking insane.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's unbelievable.
Wait, and did you say that IMAX also did something?
IMAX also did something. Yeah, IMAX also came out with a new camera.
Okay.
And it's just an improvement on their previous camera. It's like it's quieter. I think they said it's like 30% quieter, and
I guess
lighter. I think
Christopher Nolan is probably like, "What the heck? Why didn't you tell me this before, man?" No.
with the new
Yeah.
IMAX. Well, they just came out with it,
How dare they?
But isn't that crazy that Blackmagic came out with a 17K that's going to compete with IMAX?
Yes, that is freaking crazy.
Yeah,
What is that going to be? Why? And I
guess I know. I don't know. But that's what they do. They pave the way. And because here's the thing, maybe guys like us, maybe we get a hair up our ass one day and we're like, fucking, you know what? We got a huge, maybe we land a big film deal, right? We land a big film deal, and it's like we have budget to spend. Like,
Yeah.
Are we gonna rent an IMAX? Definitely not. That's like the whole budget,
Right.
But paying off a Blackmagic IMAX, I mean, maybe.
Oh my gosh.
I'd be able to do that.
I don't know.
Well, it depends on how much it is, right? Because I mean, the 12K is 17,000.
Yeah, and that's kind of a steal, honestly. I mean, that is a steal, 100%.
Yeah. So what if the IMAX is 30,000? It's
unbelievable.
The Blackmagic 17K IMAX, 35,000. I mean, 30,000 or so. That's like half the cost of a mini LF.
I remember when we were shooting, when we were younger and we were shooting, and we only dreamt of being able to have an Ursa. We were like, both of us, we were like, one day we're going to have an Ursa. It's going to be awesome. Ursa Mini. And it's crazy, Now we have an Ursa. We love it. We adore it. But we are looking up, I was talking to one of our clients today. I was talking to Raven. She's doing amazing. We've helped her blow up her business.
Mm-hmm.
Blown it up to where, it sounds like she's more than doubled her revenue when we first started. I mean, 50x her lead gen. She has so many clients now that she has to hire, which is just such a blessing. Shout out to Raven from That's So Austin. So proud of her. And now it's like we're using our filmmaking to help others break into new levels of business. And I'm like, I'm here for it, man. I love that our filmmaking is has a huge role in that. And then we also just broke a milestone of 50 clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which we just landed another client today, which I'm like very grateful for, you know? And man, I mean, if we were to like go back in time and, you know, show our old selves like, this is what you're going to be doing. I mean, we'd probably be like, fuck yeah, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because yeah, it's so cool, man. I mean, it's hard earned. A lot of
That's for
this,
sure.
I mean, with the skills, I mean, like the solutions, it's partnering with like these companies, these technologies that a lot of this has been able to happen,
Exactly.
you know?
Partnering with Black Magic has been huge and instrumental in giving us such a crazy edge in the market.
Yeah. And we just pass that right on to our clients, man,
Yeah.
because it's like, I mean, plenty of like solopreneurs that we've partnered with. I mean, a couple, and they're getting ads out there that are like super high level, man.
Yeah.
Super high level startups, that typically would not have the budget for a, full-fledged like big beautiful ad, like cinematic, tells their story. They can now because of these solutions that we've worked like throughout the years. I mean, years and years of finding these solutions. I mean, of course, honing in the craft, but then to see like the results that it gets is so awesome. It's so powerful and motivating because that's what big part of what it's about at the end of the day. Like creating a beautiful piece for them is awesome, but seeing the results is what's really life changing at the end of the day. What's important,
Right.
and like, yeah, I think it's so awesome that it's working this way, because like
Yeah.
I remember, like looking at different agencies and whatnot, and kind of questioning like how valid is it, this approach, to like put in the quality to to get these things out there, like putting in all this effort, like is it just a waste of time? Should we just be getting this stuff out? And it's to me seemed like really the answer, the antidote is putting so much like energy and effort into the creative, because a lot of our clients, a lot of the people I hear is like, it's not that like I want like, well, this is very obvious. Like I don't want a bunch of shitty leads. Like I want like a handful of like great leads.
Yeah.
That's what people are really looking for, and like the right leads.
Right.
And like that's what putting so much energy into the creative does for a lot of people.
Exactly. I mean, it's like tell everyone, man.
Yeah. It really like it resonates so well. Like first of all, it builds up their clout and their credibility.
Right.
Is like it presents them in a favorable fashion off the bat, and like at a higher level, having this sort of quality and display of like art in their video. But then it speaks to the people that you want to speak to. They're going to be more willing to pay attention because you're not like doing some dumb TikTok dance to get their attention.
Yeah.
Embarrassing yourself to, get people's attention.
Yeah.
And it's really powerful. It's because like we're also making people give and like forcing them to like dig a little deeper and connect with their audience, which I think has contributed to the impact. That because like some of the results are stupid, man.
Oh, they're insane, man.
Some of the results are like, man, do I need to get a landscaping business?
I know.
Because I mean, like,
shout out to Garrett.
Yeah.
Landkeeper, man. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
$1,500 in, got around 80 grand out. Holy schmoly. Just in 45 days. She.
I know, man. And it's like, dude, let's put 150,000 in,
I
get
know.
8 million out.
I know.
Why don't we do that?
It's crazy because it's like the next problems with a lot of these businesses is one, you fix that problem, and it's crazy how as humans we shift so quickly, right?
Yeah.
Right. We're
Right.
like we've been working on this problem for fucking 5 years, and then all of a sudden problem solved, but now we have new problems, and it's like, well, we just solved this crazy problem that is so difficult. We shift,
Mm-hmm.
and Garrett, shout out to Garrett. Now he's just having bottleneck problems with just growing the business. He has growing pains,
Yeah.
of like scaling out, and it's like he can't even take on any more clients. He needs to just kind of scale out the teams, and that is a new problem, right? But luckily he has the demand to support it ongoing, which is very powerful. And he also has an engine he can turn on anytime he wants more leads. Incredible.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Amazing.